So, welcome to Drinks with the Bees Happy Hour edition. Um, Tonight we are celebrating author Brenda Trim and her newest release, Mind Over Magical Matters, a paranormal women's fiction. It's book 2 in the Midlife Witchery Book series, correct?
Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay. So, and with me tonight also on the bees is we have Leah. She's going to hang out with us this evening and keep me on the straight and narrow because you never know if it's just me. What could
Well,
happen?
I'll try to at least.
Right. It's a full-time job. So, Leah, tell everybody a little bit about Brenda.
Okay, so Brenda loves everything paranormal. She has co-authored over 25 books in the best-selling Dark Warrior Alliance series, as well as the Hollow Rock Shifters series. She also has best-selling solo titles readers are raving about. Brenda created worlds that feature dangerously handsome heroes and feisty heroines. With the help of popcorn and candy, she takes dragons, fairies, witches, vampires, and so much more and brings them to life. She lives in Texas with her husband and 3 kids who fuel not only her heart, but her life. If she's not writing, she's reading, traveling, or knee deep in projects with her husband and 5 sisters. She encourages readers to dream big. If your dreams don't terrify and electrify you, then they aren't big enough.
Wow. Okay. I have to ask about 5 sisters. I don't know if I could do that. I have one, and she's in
I have one
Texas.
also.
Oh,
she's she's in Texas. So, rules for the night. So if you are watching along with us, you can ask any and all the questions you want in the chat box. I will say you have to be logged into YouTube. This came up at our last happy hour. If you aren't logged into YouTube, it will not let you chat. So if you'd like to chat and ask questions, make sure you log in to YouTube, which you can easily do with a Google account. There was my little YouTube promo. In the description of the video are the links to all the places to connect with Brenda. If you follow, like, and subscribe at the end of the night, one lucky person will win a swag-filled box from the bees. And so this time I have, it's coffee from a local small batch roaster. It
oh,
is
nice.
called Spark L Uni's Cup of Joe. It is and it says, become enchanted with this magical blend of caramel, chocolate, peanut butter, and southern pecan. It's really
Wow.
very good. And then the girl child made a butterfly book sleeve
Oh, fun.
and a coffee cup wrap because we are huge coffee drinkers in this house. Like,
Very nice.
it is everything. And actually, so funny story about the unicorn coffee. The girl child helped develop the flavor and she drew the label. It's
Oh,
our
fun.
our friends own the roaster, so
Oh, how fun.
they called her and said, "Hey, do you want to come help make coffee?" And she's like, "Yes, I do."
Oh,
um,
fun.
so okay, so let's kick things off in the traditional Bees way. Leah.
Brenda, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking Sprite. I have liver issues, so I wish it were a margarita because that is my favorite drink of all time. Or actually, Mexican martini is a close second. I don't know if you guys are
What's a
familiar.
Mexican martini?
So it's like a martini, but made with tequila and fresh squeezed lime juice. So delicious. It's a Texas thing.
I think I would like that because I am drinking some tequila with sparkling water tonight.
Nice, nice. It is you can find recipes for a Mexican martini anywhere. They're delicious. They are really, really good.
I will have to check it out.
I'll have to check that out too. I'm a big vodka drinker.
Okay.
And so vodka gimlets are like a go-to drink for me. The problem is I drink them so fast. But tonight, the mister made a drink in honor of Midlife Witchery series. It's called a Witch Arita. It is a traditional margarita, but instead of triple sec, we used peach tree schnapps.
Oh, fun.
To give it a little bit extra of a flavor. And he dyed it blue and added edible glitter. So it sparkles with magic.
You and your edible glitter.
Very fun.
I bought this edible glitter and now we have it.
You've got to use it in everything.
Right? Every chance I got. We did a live a couple weeks ago and I made a love potion and put edible glitter in it because it's a love potion.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, so if you're here with us, just give us a hi and let us know. I am throwing up a the link to join and follow Brenda on Instagram. I don't know, are you a big Instagram user, Brenda?
I am. I do use it all the time. That and Facebook are probably my two platforms that I use most.
Yeah, I love it. I get lost in it for hours. Well, now I've started to
Yes.
get lost in TikTok.
Oh, my daughter, my youngest daughter gets lost in TikTok and she'll come running in. Mom, you have to see this.
Ugh, I got no work done for like 3 hours today because every other video, my girl child was like, "Mom, look at this. Did you see this?" And I'm like, "I didn't." But
Now
she
I know you
does,
need to.
yeah. She makes all of our TikToks for the podcast. Um, and I pay her in coffee drinks, fancy coffee drinks. She'll
Nice.
she'll do it for a Starbucks iced coffee. So, that makes my life a little easier.
Definitely.
Um, okay, so let's get to know you a little bit, Brenda.
Yeah.
Um, so um Mind Over Magical Matter is actually it's classified as paranormal romance or paranormal fiction.
It's paranormal women's fiction. So
Okay.
romance is it's secondary to the series. The
Okay.
series is about a middle-aged woman who she has been widowed for a few years, but her grandmother passes and she inherits her grandmother's house. And she moves into this house and discovers that she's not really the human she thought she was. She's a Fey witch hybrid and one of the most powerful that was ever born. She didn't know this because when she was born, her grandmother and mother put a spell to shield her power so people didn't hunt her down.
Okay.
So she's thrown into this magical world and she has all these, things happen to her. And it's really about her developing a new life for herself, finding out who she is now that I have magic. What does that mean? That kind of thing. So there is a love interest of sorts in the story. But
But it's not.
Sebastian, it's not her main concern. She's like, yeah, I get that you like me, but there's an evil queen hunting me. Okay. I didn't have time for this shit. So, that kind of thing.
That's fair. So then so are you a reader? Do you I mean, obviously you're an author, so do you do a lot of reading yourself then too?
I do. I do. I'm an avid reader.
Do you
And
mostly stick to your paranormal?
So I read everything actually. I'm open to any genre. It depends on the mood I'm in. But yeah,
That's fair.
it's my favorite. It is my favorite genre. My mom, when I was a kid, just introduced me to just witches and magic and all things like that. And so it's a love I've had since I was little.
Yeah. I love, I mean, I've read all of the True Blood books. I went down the I read Twilight and I've read Rice. Now I cannot think of her
And
first
right.
name. Anne Rice. I was like, Leanne. I'm like, no, Becky, not Leanne. um I've read all Anne Rice's stuff and I I can love me some
some
paranormal
vampire.
and some vampire stuff. So
Yes, for sure.
uh what was your last 5-star read?
Um, my last 5-star read was probably AF Breen's. She's got the Natural Mage. It's in her. I'm trying to think of the series that it's in. Natural Mage, Dual Mage. There's a trilogy for a set of characters. So she has. It goes from Reagan and Herman to another one and to another. So it's in this series, but they cover different creatures. Let's say one of them's a
Okay.
vampire and a vampire hunter. Another one is they're mages, two mages. Another one is a witch. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Interesting. Reading your books, so this is kind of some of my first I've read, some fantasy obviously, and I've read the Harry Potters and all that kind of stuff.
right.
But this was kind of as grown up Becky was my first kind of dabble into the paranormal and the urban fantasy. And then it led me down kind of like a rabbit hole of like, well, what else is out there like this? It's a huge genre that it kind of sits quietly there. You don't really,
Yes.
But there's so many great options out there. And you like this genre though, don't you, Leah?
I read more like the shifter
Right.
romances. I'm not
Yep.
really into the paranormal-esque in a way. Like I would not say no to it. I won't
Right.
say no to anything actually, but I'm more like if I read it, it's more of the shifter
Gotcha.
tropey type.
So what took you from reader to writer?
So when my youngest was born, I have a master's degree in social work, and I did that for many, many years. Having three kids, she was my third. I was like, yeah, this is really stressful. My heart and passion was in child protection, and I worked with the courts in termination trials and whatnot. And so it's a very stressful job
That would
and
be hard on your heart, I'm sure.
very hard on my heart, very hard on my heart. And it just did not translate well to keeping stress out of the home. So my husband's like, maybe we should look at something different with having three. And I stayed home for a little bit. And I've always read, and I was at the pool with my friends actually, and we were talking about my life, and I've had quite the interesting life. But one of my friends said, "Oh, you should totally write. You have so many stories." And I was just telling her my life story. And that just got me thinking. And I was talking to my mom later that night, and she's like, "Yeah, write a book." And so I did.
On
We were drinking margaritas by the pool. So,
right. It was a good conversation is what you're saying.
yes, it was very good conversation.
Julia says hello, and she said she's a former social worker also, and so she's in healthcare, not child protection, and
Okay.
she would quit her job for the same reason, her kids.
Yes.
So
Yeah. I mean,
um
it's social work of any kind is a very stressful position.
it is, it takes a very special heart that I think can do that in any form, be it, child protection and hospital workers. We've dealt with our share of social workers, and they all have a special place in our family's heart for
Yeah,
Yes.
all the
and it,
help.
it takes a special person to like be in that role also though, because like we dealt with social workers in the hospital setting at one point, and she was amazing to talk to. Like she was super like supportive and helpful in that moment. And it's like it took a special person in our situation to deal
Yeah.
with it.
Oh, my mother says hello. Sorry she's late. Did she miss anything? No, Lynn, you didn't miss anything. Welcome to the podcast. Um, so she's probably getting her wine together. God love her. Okay, so I did also put in the chat the link to follow Brenda on Goodreads. Um, but I actually learned something recently interesting about the whole Goodreads and like where to follow an author. It is actually better for a reader. So if you are a reader, it is better for you to follow an author on Amazon than to follow
Yeah.
them on Goodreads.
Yes.
Really?
You get such better alerts from
Yeah,
Amazon
you
when
do.
their pre-orders go up, when books are on sale, when the book releases. Like you can get 3 notices for the book, and then it's like constantly there in your brain like this book is sitting over here and it wants
Yes.
you to buy it. And then I
Yes.
one click. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, I get a lot of that from BookBub. Like I feel like I get more stuff from BookBub and like the authors I follow on there than anywhere else.
So
It's not
BookBub, yes, it's very similar. I guess, yeah, it is very similar because I get the same things from both Amazon and BookBub. I like Amazon because it is just one click. BookBub, it takes me to their site and then I click, select the
Yep.
platform. So I do.
And the BookBub mobile app is not as friendly
No.
as their web interface. So
I don't think I've ever went
BookBub
on that.
BookBub I have a very love-hate relationship with it. And I know that many authors have a love-hate relationship with it.
Yes, we do.
It's not always kind. It's not always super kind to the newer or indie author. It
No.
really just likes the big names. Versus if you follow an author on Amazon, and I will throw that link up. I'm pretty sure I have that link for you also. I'll throw
Yes.
that link up in the chat. Uh, it it really is helpful, and I just learned that over the last couple weeks. how helpful the following an author is, because I was so hit or miss about it. And finally, I was doing some work for an author, and I'm like, "Why do you tell everybody to follow you on Amazon?" They're like, "Because it's good." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then they explained it, and it does make a huge difference. Okay, so far in your chat, you have Instagram, Goodreads, BookBub, and Amazon for Brenda. Follow her at all the places so you can know when her next story is coming out. So Leah, you had a next question for her.
Do you always write paranormal, or do you ever venture outside that?
So I do paranormal, urban fantasy, science, sci-fi romance. I have not done contemporary romance, and that I think it's or historical. My mother passed away in 2015, and those were her favorite genres. So I struggle to write in those genres. I stay in the fantastical and, you know, out of this world sometimes. So no, I don't. I've wanted to, and every time I sit down and try to think about it, I'm like, and I don't. I really just attribute it to missing my mom, and like she's not here to talk about this with. So
That makes
I
sense,
don't.
though. That would make sense, especially if it was something she really loved. Then
She
it
did.
would be like, how do I create those stories that
Yes.
even my mother would love? How do I
Yeah.
produce something? But I think your stories are pretty fantastic that you write in the
Oh,
paranormal. So,
thank you. Thank you.
I think you're doing just fine. You can stay right where you are.
Yes.
And Veronica will be very happy if you don't change it up. She won't fuss at me too much.
Exactly.
What are your inspiration? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead,
You
Leah.
can ask where your inspirations come from for your stories.
My inspirations come from all over the place, actually. I was talking with my doctor at a visit this morning when she was doing some steroid infusions, and she said something, and I'm like, "Oh my god! Oh my god! I have a new idea for a new scene in a book." And I mean, it's just there's it, everywhere. So I take my youngest daughter to swim at 5 a.m.
Okay.
and there, I'm sitting in the car typing, writing, and I hear this noise. It's like this scrabbling, and I'm like, okay, there's nobody in the parking lot because it's 5 a.m. and all the parents drop their kids off and they leave. I live 30 minutes away, so I'm not driving home. It's just not worth it. And I cannot find it. I'm searching. I look out my front windshield. There was a rat crawling across my windshield. I wanted to scream. I did scream, actually.
I was going to say, I'd have screamed.
Oh no, I did. I called my husband, woke him up. I'm like, oh my gosh, there is a rat. He's like, what? So it was traumatic. I got it off of my car.
Turn on the windshield wipers and fling
that's
it
exactly what I did. That is exactly what I did. It was too dark for me to see where it went. But that's exactly what I did. But it led me to write in book 3 of the Midlife Witchery series. I was writing it, and so I added to a scene. At that moment, I was like, "Oh, she's in a dungeon, rats." Okay, I mean, so again, I get it from everywhere.
Yeah. Okay, the rat thing, I'm not gonna lie. It would have traumatized me. I probably would have peed my pants.
Yes. This morning, as I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh God. Just I'm convinced that there was another one, and there's a field right by the pool. So I'm convinced that that's where it came from, and it was fairly cold. I live in Texas, so it's not like it gets too cold, but it was like 35. So for here, that's like freezing. I'm not gonna lie. I even came home and told him, we need a new car. I cannot drive this again. So, he's been talking with dealerships because I'm just, creeped out.
Oh, I would be
creeped out. Yeah. I probably would have like gaslight the car on fire. You know how everyone has those memes that go around, like they saw the spider in their room and the decision is just to light the house on fire? Like,
yeah.
I probably would have abandoned the car, gotten the child, and been like, okay, Uber, we're going home.
Yeah. I started it up after I got it off. I started up and I drove around the building like 3 or 4 times. I probably looked like a crazy woman because I was squealing tires and like, oh my God. It was,
that would have been me.
Yep.
totally would have been me. Yeah, because that's
I
that
don't,
freaks
I
me out.
can't handle anything like that.
It was something. I have never had that happen in my life, but I used
You
it as
never want it to
inspiration.
happen again.
No, 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 ma'am. That was enough. That was enough.
Yeah. Well, it's inspiration. You got
Yes.
something you got
Yes.
something good out of it. So,
Yeah,
um
definitely.
I am going to okay. So, Leah, ask the next question. I got to type in a URL here.
You're creating and writing your own lore, um, which is really creative, but um, where do you come up with this stuff?
Honestly, I don't know. I just like the first time I sat down to outline and write a book, I was like, I'm not so sure. And I would call my mom and I'd say, okay, mom, I feel really stupid. This is not a real conversation. This is
Okay.
not real. Like, how do I do this? And she's like, you've read enough. You've got this. I mean, her belief in me was 1000%. And I knew, okay, I can do this. And I just sat down and I had to set aside that voice that says, this is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
That voice that you hear people aren't going to read it. People aren't going to like it. None of that mattered. I wanted to tell a story. And that's how I go into each one of them. I set those exterior voices aside and just think, okay, what would be fun? And my mind just starts building. And I've already got a spin-off series for Midlife Witchery. So my mind keeps just going.
Just going. Well, I think I always find it really fascinating when writers create their own lore, like their own rules about the character. And it wasn't until I read The Graveyard by Neil Gaiman that it really struck me, like, because he wrote something that it isn't like garlic with vampires that we all know, or a stake to the heart, or that
Yeah.
fairies have a sparkle around them. The book The Graveyard, he writes a very fantastical story, but he created that out of his memory. And I was watching an interview that he did and how he was inspired by it. And I think anyone that can, with your books, like the creativity that comes down to the rules and the lore of the world that you're writing in is just amazing. I think of like the scene where she like picks up the flower and it tastes like onions.
Yes.
Nothing is as it seems. I just think
Exactly.
there's like a whole nother level of creativity there.
That's, I think, for me, once I let go of everything, I'm like, okay, and that's the other reason I actually really like writing fantasy and paranormal, and that I don't have to stick to what's real, or what should be happening. A flower tastes like a flower. Well, no, not in this world. So again, it's, I love that, and I just let my mind go. I just, sometimes I'm like, yeah, scrap that. But it's always, ideas going back and forth. And sometimes I'll bother my daughter and say, okay, what about this, and what do you think of this? And both my daughters are great. My son and I have talked about writing. He loves Celtic lore and the gods and whatnot, and so eventually I will get around to writing the story that he and I have been talking about and planning, and writing down details for.
It's nice because like you can do whatever you want. Like
Yes.
you have no like set rules. Like you can go this way and that way in every which direction that you want.
Yes. Yep.
It kind of also gives you like aren't stuck in a box.
Exactly.
You
I
know,
don't like
you don't you what?
I don't like boxes.
Well, and that is fair. I'm not a big fan of the boxes either. But you're not like it's not just the box. Like you don't have to try to fit and mold into anything. And but I also think that must be slightly intimidating. Um, just because one, you have to always remember your own rules that you made.
Yep. Yep.
Because the one time you forget one of your rules, your fans are gonna
Oh,
come
they
out.
let you know. They let you know. Yes. Yes. And I keep a series Bible for each one, and I detail those kinds of things. And even then I have found that as long as you can explain, like if I want to change something, like my Dark Warrior Alliance, they're fated mates, and you're given one, and that's, you you're drawn to this person and you end up mating them. Well, I've lately had this idea that maybe not. Maybe someone says, I don't really like you and who you are. So nope. So I'm playing with ideas. I'm not saying that that's what I'm going to do, but I am playing with ideas on, again, how do I adjust the rules that I have established? How can that happen?
Yeah. But the possibilities are like limitless.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think that's awesome. I'm not that kind of creative person, but I total props to anyone who can.
People are definitely, I think people underestimate how creative they can be. I used to think that I'm not.
Yeah.
And like my sisters and I, we do crafts, and I have a laser engraver, which make stuff with. Tumblers are one of them, but we do a lot of signs and like decor for the home, different various things. And one of my sisters, Bridget, she constantly has ideas. Like, oh my God, like she will send me 50 texts on different ideas. And then we go from there. Like sometimes it just takes one idea and then it sparks mine and we both go back and forth. And what about this? And what about that? And what about, so I think you can be creative. You just need to tap into it.
Yeah. I have a Cricut and it's really intimidating to me, and I make my husband use it and
Yeah.
help me figure out how to do things. Hey, Carolina, thanks for joining us. She says hello and happy Friday.
Hello. Yes.
Um, so yeah, I have a Cricut and it it scares the bejesus out of me, but
I have
Yeah.
one too, and it sits on my table.
So I have one and I use it all the time. My crafting, shall we say, my mom instilled that in us as well as kids. And I started with the Cricut, and I now have I think it's $35,000 laser engraver. So it's a big, massive machine that can cut through acrylic. It can etch and engrave metals. It can cut through wood. It can.
That's so cool.
There's so many things that it can do. When I got it, so I told my husband, I really want a laser, because I was doing Cricut and doing vinyl on cups. Well, vinyl comes off.
It
Yeah.
does.
And I was at the beach and I'm like, I don't really like that. My cute little, sun sand drink design is gone. And it spent me hours transferring each little, it was a pain. Anyway,
Right.
I said, I really want a laser. And he's like, you what? He thought I was insane. And I said, no, I really want a laser. And he started doing, so what he does is he'll do the research. He's like, okay, you're not getting a cheap $200 thing off of Amazon that is going to break down and you're never going to be able to use. So he does all this research and finds the best laser, with the best resale value, most versatile, all this stuff. And at first he was like, yeah, this is just going to be a very expensive, decor. So I had to take my dining room and turn it into my workroom.
Yeah.
So he uses it as much as I do. Every weekend we're constantly making stuff. So I converted him as well.
We talk about a 3D printer in our house a lot. It's like the item everybody wants. But again, like you have to have the space and be able to, make sure you're buying one that's of value, and it's a lot. It is just a lot. So let's talk midlife witchery, which I have to say I love because I'm a lady of a certain age and midlife is not easy.
No, it's not.
I was just complaining this morning. I woke up. I mean, it could have been, I live in Ohio, Northwest Ohio. So I think it was like 18 degrees outside today.
Ooh.
And I'm like throwing a t-shirt on and I look at I homeschool my children, and I was looking at my girl child and I was like, think I could wear shorts today? She's like, it's snowing. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm like really hot. And she's like, just put some pants on, please. That's all I ask. I mean, she has little rules for us. Like the other day she was having a meltdown. She's like, I'd really like just one day where everybody wore pants and no one came into the kitchen without pants on. And I'm like, dream big, sweetie. Dream big.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes you have to go to the kitchen without pants on. I don't know.
Yeah.
So let's talk midlife witchery and the crew, because it's more than just Fiona's story. Like it's kind of a little bit of everybody's
Yes.
And
Yeah,
there's some big characters.
there are. So Fiona's best friends are Violet and Iceland, and Violet's a witch and Iceland is Fae, and they kind of join her on this adventure into the supernatural and the magical, and help her, when stuff starts going awry. They help her figure stuff out. They go and visit a hidden market that is only for supernaturals. Humans can't find it or shop at it. So it's very fun. And Violet and Iceland in book 2, Violet's children are kidnapped, and they have to rescue them. So they're definitely trouble. They all have trouble. And so the first 3 books will be about Fiona primarily. The next 3 books will be about Violet, and the last 3 in the series will be about Iceland. So, we give them each their little say.
But so book 2, from book 1 to book 2, and this is book 2 in the series. Book 2,
Yes.
we actually met 2 new characters. So we had met Sebastian
Yes.
in book 1, which is
Yes.
her love interest, and
Yeah.
I mean,
She's been a widow for a few years, and he sparked something in her that she thought was gone. It's something you think, oh, I'm past that stage now. I lost the great love of my life. I'm good.
She hit that empty nest stage too, because like all of her
Yes.
kids are now at college, and it's like it's just her now. Like she doesn't know what to do with herself in a way.
Exactly. And she could have kept, being a nurse and doing what she had been doing. But again, that was her former life. That was a life she had with her husband and her kids, and it no longer fit her. So she decided to do something different and, move to another country and live in her grandmother's house. And it turned out, to be quite the adventure for her. But yeah, so in book 2, Finar and Argis they're Fae that help. Well, Argis helps her get through the Fae realm. She's pulled through the portal. So she's the guardian to the portal, and she decides who can come through the portal from the Fae realm to Earth. And she is pulled through by one of the king's men. And right at a moment, she needs to help find Violet's kids. They've been kidnapped, and she doesn't have time for this, but she's pulled through and has to figure out. She's never been to the Fae, to Idathea. She's never been there. She has no idea what are the rules here. Flowers taste like onions. She didn't know that before. So there's a lot that she has to learn, and he helps her through that.
yeah, it's very interesting, fairies and everything. I just love that piece of it. And she takes her role as guardian very like really to heart. Like it is her whole
Yes.
being. And
Yes.
you can see how that can just transpire from her life, being that she was a nurse, being that she was a mother. Now you feel like she's kind of the nurse and the mother guardian to get into this realm and doing
Well, and
everything
she
she
was such a
can.
caretaker for her husband before he passed away. So like she like that was what she did. Like she takes
Yes.
care of everybody around her. So it's like now like she's taking to heart, like this is my job. This is like my new, like this is what I'm taking care of now.
Yes, exactly. I mean, she's always been a caretaker, and it's something that is part of her, and that's part of the reason she went into nursing. Is she was born to be this guardian. This was the role she was born to take, and it led her to a caretaking career. She didn't know about the rest. They kept it hidden from her for reasons. But yeah.
Yeah. It's such a good story. So if you haven't read it, we highly recommend it. This one is Mind Over Magical Matters, and the first one was
Magical New Beginnings.
Magical
Yes.
New Beginnings. I kept calling them other things, and I don't know why. I think that just my brain might be broken this week. I really
Yeah.
apologize if I screwed up. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hey everybody, if you're here, say hey to us and let us know you're here. Also, in the chat, we have put some links up previous. If you scroll back up, you can catch those to follow Brenda all the places. The last 2 links are to join Drinks with the Bees on Instagram and our Drinks with the Bees Patreon. We have Drunk Book Club, blah, blah, blah. We have
Yes.
Drunk Book Club coming up on February the 6th. We are reading Bad MF by Jacinda Wilder. So,
Oh, that sounds fun.
it's such a fun night.
It's always a
We
good time. It gets a
it,
little crazy, but it's a good time.
it is a little crazy. We've been very blessed. This is our 6th time coming together with our book club. Um, and the premise is that we ask our followers and fans, we give them a theme. So we've started voting on the theme. We give them a couple different themes, and then they have to nominate books that fit to the theme. So
Oh, fun.
the theme for February was rough terrain or Alaska. And they picked Jacinda Wilder's Bad Brothers, the first book in the Bad Brothers series. We try to keep it to Kindle Unlimited, or if it's free or easily accessible, like in the library, just because
It's
all of us
helpful.
are on a, well,
Those
we all
book
have,
budgets, they're killer.
we're all on book budgets. And so it's kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, um, what are we going to do? Hi,
Yeah.
Nikki. Hi, Susie. Welcome to Happy Hour. Okay, so before we talk more about the story, we have a game to play with you,
Okay.
Miss Brenda.
Fun.
It's this or that, getting to know the author.
Okay.
But Leah, you can play too, so everybody can learn a little bit about you also, since,
Okay.
you have to hang out with
You'll be
me.
our hostess with the mostest.
Right,
Yes.
and Leah has to hang out with me a lot in the next coming weeks. And so we need to get to know you. Okay, so tea or coffee?
Tea.
Coffee.
We all know where I stand on it. Give me coffee. A planner or seat of your pants?
Planner.
It depends on the situation. Life stuff, I plan. Adventure-y stuff, that's a seat of the pants.
Yeah. I just, it's kind of the hot mess plan. That's what
The Hot
mine
Mess
is.
Express.
Yeah, pretty much. Big city or desert island?
Oh, that's a
Desert
hard.
Island,
Yeah.
without question.
Yeah. I mean, I like big cities, so I like, seeing, I like people watching. I love people watching. I get a lot of inspiration people watching. But I don't really want to talk to them.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around them. So
We just
yeah.
we just talked about this because of our son and his health, we've been in a very tight bubble for a
Yep.
year.
Yep.
And
Here.
I miss eating out, and I miss going and sitting at a coffee house, and today was like kind of a frazzled day. And I told my husband, I really just wanted to go sit at the coffee house, and we live close to the university campus and he works at campus, but I like to go to the local coffee house that's close to campus and watch all the kids and some of the different characters that come in and out. And today was a day I really missed the people watching. But
Yeah. I will say, I mean, I haven't gone into a store. It's my husband does all the shopping, or we order it online. I haven't gone places. I sit in the car when my daughter goes to swim. I mean, yes, our bubble is close.
yeah, and and there's a moment where you're just like, let me out, but I can't get out.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that was my day today. Also, if you guys are, those of you that are hanging out, if you want to tell us what this or that you are, we want to know. So, morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
I know.
Night owl. I do not like mornings.
No.
My youngest, however, is like the morning person of the house, and she'll come busting out of her bedroom at 7 a.m., happy as can be, ready for the day. And I'm like,
That's
just let me
funny.
have my coffee first.
Yes. My youngest used to wake up at the crack of dawn. Literally, if the sun started peeking over the horizon, she was up and singing and running around and just dancing. Now she's 13, so she doesn't quite do that. She's actually very considerate now. But it used to be that she would come barreling down the stairs, sometimes falling down them because we're graceful like that.
The rule is like she's not allowed to leave her bedroom until 7 a.m. Like, I don't care what time you wake up, but you are not allowed to open that door until 7 a.m.
That's a good rule.
It's wonderful. And she actually listens to it, which helps because then I can just lay in my warm cocoon of blankets in bed and nobody bothers me yet.
That's nice. That is nice, actually.
I have teenagers, so 17 and 15. At 10 a.m., I am dragging them out of bed and being like, we have to do schoolwork now. Now, the boy child has to get up. He has to get up at 8:30 to take his meds, but
That-
without fail, he can turn right back around and go back to sleep.
That's my son. I wake him up about 7:30 and he'll come down and go right back to sleep. I'm like, dude, he's 16 and my oldest is 22, 23 now actually. And they definitely are in bed till 10. Even my youngest though, she's up. This is why she's good with swim practice being early in the morning. She doesn't mind. Me, I'm like, do not look at me until you're done with practice. Then we can have a conversation because I am a zombie.
Yeah. Nope, I can get that. Nikki says she's a morning person. I can totally see that about you, Nikki, being a morning person.
Oh, and
She's
she'd
like,
be like super happy in the mornings too.
she would be too. She's like super sweet, happy all the time.
Oh,
So I'm pretty sure that like Nikki, we'd probably have to drink a lot of coffee before we could talk in the morning. That's all I'm gonna say. So video games, tabletop games, are you a game player?
I am a game player, and I would have to say video games for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that big in your house, video games?
With my son, yes. It used to, my husband and I, when we first met, we would play for hours on the computer. So it wasn't, you know,
Yeah,
they
that's
didn't
still
have
video
the,
games. Yeah.
yeah.
Still
But
counts.
we would play for hours on the computer. We
My
haven't for a long time, but
we are a house of gamers. Like I love tabletop games. But the boy child, the girl child, and my husband are all video gamers. Like we have gaming PCs and they play things for hours that I don't understand and then they want to talk to me about it and
yes.
I still
That's
don't
how it is
understand
in
it.
our house too. Like the whole house will play Minecraft or this new Terraria, and
Uh-huh.
my
Which is
oldest,
not new. That's actually older than Minecraft.
it's not, but I don't know these things. Like he'll sit and talk to me about like all this crazy stuff, and like my youngest will be like, "Mommy, I made this, and I made this, and I made this." I'm like, I love you, but I don't care. Don't talk to me about it.
Yeah.
I'm more of a tabletop game person though, so that might be part of it. Like I like a video game, but I don't have the patience for it. I get real mad real fast and I
Yeah.
just have to stop.
So cats or dogs or non-animal person?
Dogs for sure. I have two Frenchies. I have a bearded dragon and a leopard gecko and turtles and fish.
It sounds like your house, Becky.
It is my house.
Yes.
We have two Aussie Shepherds, but
Okay.
my daughter, her deepest desire in the world is to become a herpetologist
Gotcha.
and preserve their habitats. She wants to
Yep.
preserve their environments and stuff. And so we have an African spurred tortoise and we have a leopard gecko. We have rescued a Colombian tegu. We
Okay.
have well, there's a funny story. We have a snake right now because we had to
Okay.
rescue one of my dear friends here in town. She called me back in May and she was like, I need Sid. And I was like, oh, okay, why? And she's like, there's a snake on my neighbor's doorstep and I need you and her to come get it. And
Oh my God.
I was like, well, I'm in the middle of like trying to get some work done. Just put it in a bucket and bring it over to me. And she's like, no, you don't understand. You have to come get this. So I'm like, okay. So I was like, hey, girl child, get your stuff together. We're going to go. Miss Kate has a snake on her neighbor's doorstep. And she's like, okay. So she's got leather gloves. She has a container cage for it to go in.
Wow.
And we drive up, and my friend is sitting there with this big green Rubbermaid tub and a giant stick, trying to like get the snake into the bucket. And
Oh my
like,
word.
what the heck are you doing? She's like, you got to get the snake. Girl child puts her gloves on, hands me the container, says, Mom, take the lid off. I'm like, okay. And she walks right up the steps, grabs it with both hands, looks at it, comes over, puts it in the container, puts the lid on, done. Like, not even 5 minutes. Oh, is that your bearded dragon?
Yes, this is Tonks.
Oh,
After
so
yes, Tonks from Harry Potter.
Oh my God.
We love her.
They're so
she's
fun.
our sweetheart. They are.
So
really
that's how we ended up with a snake. It was someone had a pet that they let loose, and now we have it.
Oh my word. My children would like a snake. And crested gecko, was that it? I don't,
Oh, we
there's,
have one of those. We
okay.
have one of
Or they
those.
have to care for, because my fear is that, they have to have a certain humidity and all of
Yes,
this stuff.
we have like these humidifiers that go
Okay.
that they fog because the Colombian tegu also has to be humidified.
Okay.
And
Yep.
then we have a fire skink,
Okay.
because do not call it a fire skank as I did. I was like very loudly, I'm like, why am I buying a fire skank? And my husband's like, that's a redhead that is promiscuous. This is a skink. I was like, oh, okay, got it. Um, the most high maintenance of all our pets, though, is really the stupid African tortoise. We've had him
Oh,
10 years and he has outgrown his living area, and in the summer he can be out in the yard with a fence and
yep.
be safe and stuff like that. We just have to put an over on it so that no hawks, although he's pretty big now. I mean, he's pretty big.
Holy
Um
cow.
I mean, the dogs are scared of him, so.
right, the dogs are scared of him. So he will open the sliding doors on his cage, and today he tried to run away 3 times. So my husband has a project
Oh,
this
goodness.
weekend and will be, because
Ooh.
the other weekend we took our girl child out to her friends that have a farm and left the boy child at home. And he told his dad, he goes, the dogs were standing in our hallway barking, and I couldn't figure what they were barking at. So I came out of my room because he had to wait till his game was over. His round in his video game was over before he could investigate why the dogs were barking.
Good thing it
And
wasn't a rubber.
right. The tortoise was like 18 feet away, almost to our pantry, and the dogs were like as far away as they could get from him, but still keep an eye on him, barking to alert somebody that Perry had escaped. So
Oh my word.
so you can
Wow.
relate, because as you sit with
Yes.
your bearded dragon,
Oh
um,
yes. Yeah. We have a
Carolina, Carolina wants to know how fast is running away. Perry's actually pretty fast. I mean, he's not like breaking land records, but the boy can move, especially if nobody's watching him.
That's crazy.
But crested geckos are not hard. They just, you know, I have to have mealworms and crickets delivered to my house.
Yes, we do. We have dubia roaches and mealworms,
So do
crickets, all
we.
of that. Yep.
Have a whole bucket of roaches. That was like the best day ever. My husband's like, I
Yes.
bought roaches. I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you? No buys roaches.
Yes, we do.
We do. I
Yeah,
I feel like, go ahead, Leah.
we have a dog. He's an Aussie Collie. He's still a puppy, but he's amazing. And then we have 3 cats. And that is as far as we are going.
Are you sure you don't want a lizard? Because I'm
Oh
sure I
no,
have one
no, it's
to
been brought
share.
up, and I'm like, this is
Sounds
a
like you do.
hard no. There will not be snakes in my house. There will not be any reptile or amphibian of any kind.
That's
I
funny.
I had rules. Like, I don't mind the reptiles. I really don't. And my husband is big into reptiles and stuff. We will never have a bird. I have a
No,
thing with things that fly. They're
They're
not
too
coming in my
loud
house.
too. They are
they're
so loud.
so loud.
Yeah, I don't like birds. But the reptiles, for the most part, were pretty much okay. The rule was, though, it couldn't eat. I didn't want anything that ate mice. Um,
Yes.
I just didn't want to have to mess with that. And but then a friend of mine had this Columbia tegu, and there's always a story with me. I was at the bar one night. My girl child was at musical rehearsal, and there's a small little neighborhood bar in the same block as where the theater is. So I
Oh,
went
nice.
down to have a drink while I waited for her into rehearsal. Doesn't that make sense a little bit? I mean,
Very sad.
That's the perfect
so
setup.
right?
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
went to grab a bite to eat and have a drink at the local tavern, and my friend was there, and she's like, Becky, I'm so excited to see you. And I was like, oh, I'm excited to see you too, because I haven't seen you in a while. And she's like, so you remember Chiquita? And I was like, well, yeah, it used to be, it's this lizard that used to be at the Children's Museum, in our local Children's Museum. They had done a refurb, and it was she had moved to the nonprofit she runs, but they were changing things up there. And she's like, it can't come back to my house. My husband, Phil, has said, absolutely not. He does not want it back at our house. She's like, so do you think your girl child would like to have it? And before I looked up what it was or what it eats, I was like, I bet she would. She's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'll double check with Mike, but I can't imagine it'd be an issue." And then I get home and they're like, "Do you know what it eats?" And I was like, "Well, no, just like crickets, right?" No, it eats like eggs and mice and
Oh,
yeah, fruit and all sorts of stuff. So I'm like, but it eats frozen mice, so it's pretty okay, but
I don't
that's
think.
bad.
But then you have mice in your freezer.
they're in a
Yes.
box. I don't ever see them.
But the box is still touching
I
it.
know. I will say I won the pandemic. I won the pandemic because there was a day that we needed to have crickets shipped, but it was going to take too long for them to get here, and girl child really needed crickets sooner than later. So, through DoorDash, our PetSmart will DoorDash crickets for us.
Are you
Look at
kidding?
Brenda. She's like, "Yeah. No,
Oh
I'm
my
not
God.
kidding."
That has been us. I can't tell you how many times I'm like, "Hun, we need more crickets." He's like, "What? I just got
Yep.
some."
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
I DoorDashed crickets.
I am gonna have to look into that.
Yep.
That
You just
is amazing.
you have to go through PetSmart's website, pick
Uh-huh.
same day delivery, and then it's powered through DoorDash. So
I love that.
I totally DoorDashed crickets. So I win the pandemic. Can be over. I
Yes,
know.
you do. I'm gonna have to remember that.
Yeah. Well, because you have that moment where you're like, they're eating the last. Oh, I guess I forgot. We have a brown knoll that somebody found.
What is
Uh,
that?
they're just a little tiny brown. I call it the starter lizard. They're actually native to Florida, but they're not native to Ohio.
Okay.
And somebody probably released it, and it might be a baby from what they released or something. But it was found like right around Halloween, trick or treat.
Okay.
And in Ohio, it would have frozen to death. And our friend rescued it, and her child was not interested in it. So she called and she said, um, she's like, "Becky, do you think Sydney would, girl child be okay grabbing it?" And I was like, "Just bring it over. We have an empty aquarium."
It's funny that they always think of you to call and ask.
Yes.
They do. They do. Yeah, and I think I don't have any empty aquariums right now. So we're pretty safe. We
So
cannot
no
get
more
any more
coral.
reptiles. Yeah.
That's what you say today.
Right? I don't think we have any aquariums. Hey, right, girl child, no more aquariums? Oh, they just said there's a big one in the garage. That is not an invitation to send me a lizard.
No, no,
Um,
definitely
beach or pool?
beach.
Beach.
Can I have a pool at the beach
Yeah,
so I don't get the sand?
Are you not a sand person?
I don't like the sand. It gets places it shouldn't.
it does. Yeah.
It does. Are you a hot person or a cold person?
I'm a cold person. I live in Texas, so it's always hot. So I like the cold better.
Cold.
I like the hot. I live in Pennsylvania, so we get plenty of cold.
Yes, yes. See, we don't.
I have a lovely sweater collection. I really don't mind the cold. Um, Susie says she wants to go to the beach, and Carolina agrees. There's no vacancies at my house. I have to remind the people that are in the other room listening and laughing right now, as I
Yeah.
said, no more animals. Sydney, did you come see this? She has a bearded dragon on her shoulder. Did he? Okay. Um, Pizza or a burger?
Pizza.
Pizza.
Yes.
Burger.
Burger with the beer from the
Yeah.
brewery.
Yeah,
bad.
that's a winner for me too. Okay, colorful or black and white?
Colorful.
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 Yes, Leah. Colorful. You're not a monochrome dresser?
I mean, not dressing wise, I'm not colorful. I stick with the same like 3 colors. If you look at my closet, it's like like burgundy, blue, black, gray. But in everything else colorful, not in my clothes.
I'm colorful in everything.
And everything.
Clothes. Yep. Decor. I have to tone down the bed for my husband. He's like, yeah, that's just too much.
Too much.
Yeah, I have to pull my husband back. I'm like, no, that's not enough. That's too much.
Yeah, we are a very non-colorful house. Like all of our walls are like the same shade of like gray, and but I do flash it up with the clothing. So I like bright colors. Um, cupcakes or cookies?
Cupcakes.
Cookies.
Cupcakes. Cookies. My mother says she likes a burger, which is interesting. She doesn't like pizza, but she doesn't really like burgers either. And colorful. She is colorful. She's a character. Is what I will say. Salty or sweet?
Salty.
Can I have both
No. You have to
together?
pick one or
Yeah, that is actually probably the perfect combo.
I do like pretzels and M&Ms together. Or M&Ms in your popcorn. You say you like
Yes.
do you eat a lot of popcorn?
Yes, I have a big bucket next to me right now.
Yeah. We have like a movie style popcorn popper
Oh,
for
fun.
in our house because when they eat popcorn, they want like it because apparently microwave popcorn is not as crispy. It
Yep.
doesn't have it has a different texture. It's
Yep.
soggy. I don't know.
Yep.
My youngest loves popcorn, and actually for her birthday, I bought her like an air popper
Oh,
popcorn.
fun.
And
Yeah.
she was so excited for it. So every day,
that.
can I have popcorn now? Can I have popcorn today? Will you make me popcorn today?
The
Oh,
boy
fun.
child eats popcorn every day.
See,
Every day.
my boy child doesn't eat popcorn at all, but
I hate it.
my girl child loves it.
Yeah, my son eats it every day too.
I'm not a fan, but it's okay. Everybody can have their popcorn.
Yes.
City or country?
Country.
Country.
Country. Carolina says yes to all the sweets. Nikki says cookies, and Nikki wants also salty and sweet together. She wants them both. So yeah. And you both are country.
Yes.
Nobody likes the big city. So Brenda, in Texas, are you connected to a large city, or are you kind of out in the boonies a little bit?
I'm out. I live right outside of Austin, so it's probably a 20-minute drive into Austin for me.
Okay. My sister's in San Antonio.
Okay. I have a brother down there.
Yeah. She's we actually I'm trying to get her to go to Austin for me to pick something up. I'm like, can you go here? It's there's a bourbon distillery down there that my husband is part of. Of course there is, right, Leah? Of course there is. That he's like a Patreon of and everything, and he wants her to go buy him a bottle because we can't get it in Ohio. So
gotcha. Which
I'm not supposed to pay attention to that, am I? Is that
no? I pay attention very little. My husband is in the craft beer. He works for Dell, biggest employer out here, but he likes all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Like Tito's and all of the distilleries around.
Tito's is my favorite vodka in the entire planet. I
don't think I've ever had Tito's vodka.
It's very good, actually.
It is he makes fun of me because I can drink Tito's like all night, drinks all of it. And then I'll have another night and I'll drink, say, like I drink like 2 or 3 craft beers or a bottle of wine, and then I'm hungover. But if I have a couple drinks from with Tito's vodka in it, never hungover, never. And I don't know, it's the best. I don't know. Hey, Mister, what's the name of the brewery or the distillery that you love in Texas? Crowded Barrel.
Crowded Barrel. I'll have to ask my husband.
They have a vault called the Whiskey Vault where they like have rare whiskeys, and then they give classes on how to become a whiskey sommelier where you like do all the tasting. Yeah, whatever.
We know where Mike's going when he gets his RV.
Yeah, he wants to basically do. I love craft beer too, though.
We do too. We have where we're at, like there's like a bunch of little local breweries, but they're always really good.
Yeah.
I think the food at the breweries are some of the best out there. Like,
yeah,
it is. I don't know what it is about a brewery. The food tastes so much better. Maybe it's the beer that you're ingesting on top of it, but
right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So Brenda, night out or night at home? And I
We had
guess this would be not COVID.
yeah, not COVID. So it depends on who I'm with. With my sister's night at home because somebody's gonna pee their pants. That's just I swear to you, we once a year, all six of us go on a trip together. We haven't invited my brother. I have four brothers as well. And I
A
have
lot.
not, we haven't invited the boys yet, but my sisters and I will get together and we are laughing. Like last January, we were in Seattle and my sister we picked her up from the airport, got home. We hadn't even gotten to dinner and she's on the floor peeing her pants. Her boots,
my God.
everything was soaked. It was so, we generally will try to stay in. we
Yeah.
do go out, but it's so, but
Safer.
with other people, I like to go out, but
Yeah.
generally,
So are you a road tripper or would you prefer to fly?
road tripper.
Yeah. I like a good
I
road
think a
trip.
road trip.
Yeah. I like just the freedom of getting in the car and go where you go and, ramble about and
Yeah.
Well, and like the snacks, like road tripping, that's like the snacks are
Yes.
half of it.
Yes.
combos. That's like a road trip must. You have to have the
Ours are
pretzel cheese
Twizzlers.
combos.
Like, I have to have a bag of Twizzlers. Any road
Yes.
trip.
Yes.
Twizzlers are a must.
Yep. Definitely.
Don't tell me you're a Red Vine family, Becky.
No Twizzler. We're a Twizzler family. And it has to be original. Don't make the
Yes,
mistake to actually
not the
buy the
silly-
strawberry kind.
Oh, no.
Don't do that.
Yes.
People will tell you all the mistakes you've made very clearly. So hotel or camping?
Camping. We used to own a trailer actually before my oldest went to college and we had to sell it to pay for tuition.
Damn stinking college.
I know. This is what I said. But eventually we'll get another one.
Yeah. That's my husband works for a university. And when he moved from his old job into the job at the university, everyone's like, "Oh, that's so great." I'm like, "You have no idea. My kids can go to college for free, people. I do
Oh
not
my
have to
God.
pay for college."
Oh, I'm
Well,
jealous.
you're nice and close too, so they could commute.
Oh, like we are 4 blocks from campus. That's why we have the house that we have. We're 4 blocks from campus. They can
Nice.
walk.
That is a great deal.
It is a great deal. Carolina says we are speaking her love language, snacks. I can see that. I can see where you're like the snack lady. My kids used to tease my mother. She had a magical purse because everything was in her purse and she always had snacks in it for the kids, no matter where we went, what we were doing. Nana always had snacks. I don't know. Why do you need snacks?
It's your job as a nana, you have to have snacks.
I guess.
Yes.
I am going to throw up Brenda's website. You can sign up for her newsletter and be in the know and get all the stuff there. So we're going to get back to the midlife witchery a little bit here. So there are lots of twists and turns in this story. It really keeps the reader engaged. Is that part of, because you're not only are you like creating your own lore, but you're world building, but there's so much more into the story so that you need the next book. You need to know the rest of this story. And obviously as an author, that's like your goal.
Right.
But the way that you do it, it's like, I don't know, magic.
Now, is this your first trilogy? Because I will say, like, I hadn't read you before, just because paranormal is it's not usually my jam. But like, do you stick with standalones, or is this your first trilogy?
No, this is not so in my Dark Warrior Alliance series,
Okay.
book 24 comes out next month. Actually on my birthday, well, March 4th on my birthday. And then in my Hollow Rock Shifters, I have 6 books in that series so far. And I'll do another 2. I have 2 more planned in that series. And then I have a trilogy that's an academy series, so college age kids. And it's all set in a Fey world, completely separate from anything here.
So you could completely change the way the Fays do everything.
And I did. In that one, I did. I set the Academy series up to introduce in Bramble's Edge, which is the area in the Fey world where this Academy is set. I
Okay.
set it up to have a larger series in that world. I've got too many ideas, and
Not enough
so
time.
not enough time. No, and people are begging me. I get emails constantly for the Midlife Witchery, so I have focused more on that one. I do get, for the others, it's just, you got to pick and choose. So
Right. She can't give you everything all the time, people.
no, I try, but I can't.
Right. Make sure if you're here, you say hi and let us know that you're here. Because if you have stuck around this long and you have liked and subscribed to the page, we have a giveaway. And Brenda, you have a giveaway too, right?
I do. I am doing a Tumblr and a signed paperback of book two. So I debated doing book one or book two, but because we're here about book two,
Yeah, that's
yes,
fair. So make sure you say hey so that we know you're here. And then what we'll do is we'll have everybody, whoever we pick to be our winners this evening, we will have them just email us at the bees at Bookcase and Coffee. And the winner can just email us there, and then I will forward their mailing
perfect.
information onto you. That just makes it
Yes,
a little easier.
yes, it does.
So we have Susie here, and I know Nikki is still here, and Carolina. Yes, Carolina's like, I'm still here. She was so excited when I was like, yeah, we're doing urban fantasy. And she's like, yes, like I'm finally going the way she wants me to. um, okay, so Brenda, pick a number between 1 and 5.
Three.
3. Okay. My mother, I'm here. Lynn, you disqualify. You're not allowed to win. So Susie, you won the my giveaway of the coffee, the book sleeve, and the coffee cup holder. So make sure you email us at the bees at drinks or at bookcaseandcoffee.com and email me your address and I will get that out to you. And then give me another number between 1 and 5 that's not 3.
Okay. Two. I'll do an even number. My daughters like even numbers.
Numbers. Okay, so Miss Carolina, you are the winner of Brenda's book and her Tumblr. So make sure you email me your address. Pretty sure I probably have it, but Carolina, do us all a favor and email me your address at the bees at bookcaseandcoffee.com and we will get that stuff out to you all. Um,
Yes.
so thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us
Thank
tonight. We
you.
were so happy to have you.
Yes.
Um,
Thank you for having me.
Thank you everyone for joining us that joined us in the chat. Look for us. We'll be back next Saturday. We're doing a historical romance with Amelie Howard, and we are doing afternoon boozy tea with her. So
Fun.
we're talking about her newest release. So make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to the channel, and we will catch you all next time.
Yes.